Hello everyone, Professor Thompson here. This is going to be a short video that talks about the outline expectations and overview for the upcoming IAI 1 presentation. So our first presentation is a narrative presentation, and I have an example outline up here on the screen right now. It's by a student named Tim Johnson, and you can see that this outline is short and sweet. I want to start by showing you where you can access this example outline. So on our home page, you can click on the 5th tab down, which is the Presentations tab. It's where I outline the expectations for every speech. And then the first folder that you see here, it says Speech 2 IAI 1 Narrative Presentation. That's all of the documents and expectations that you need for this upcoming presentation. And in here we have the actual requirements. We have a rubric which I will use to evaluate the speech, tips for oral source citation. This is that handout that I gave you in our last class. And then you can see here's an example outline. And by clicking on this particular document, that will give you access to the outline that I started out with on the opening screen. The first thing that I want you to notice about your expected outlines are that they're supposed to be short and sweet. For this first speech, it should be under 1 page. I absolutely do not want you to be writing out a lot of information. I'm really only looking for you to have 2 complete sentences on your entire outline. Okay? That's it. And I'm going to explain those in just a second. The first thing that I am really expecting as we overview the outline is make sure that your name is on the outline. Far too often I get assignments that are submitted to me via Blackboard or via email or even handed in from time to time, and they don't even have a name on it. So make sure your name is on it. All of this extra information up here under the name, that's just fluff. It's not necessarily all that important. If you want to put it on there, you can, but you notice that when I did this example outline, I made sure it was there. All right, so the first thing that I'm expecting and looking for on your outlines for this speech is for you to identify exactly what your opening line will be for this presentation. This should be a word-for-word written out version of your opening line. As we progress in this class, one of the things that we will discuss is attention-getting strategies and techniques. Now, this isn't something that we've necessarily talked about to this point in the class. Some of you may have some exposure to this from other courses, but it's the idea that you want to grab your audience's attention at the beginning. One of the things that I feel is fundamental to that process is knowing exactly what you want to say and sticking to that plan. So I am looking that you type this out for me, and it's very clear, here's what my opening line is. Some people will use something that's completely original. As you can see that it is typed up here, this is just an original statement. Some people will use quotations, some will use questions. But the point here is I want you to write it down so that you practice it several times, and then when you come to class to deliver your speech, you know exactly what you want to say. It's second nature to you. You deliver it, and you have the ability to have your eyes on the audience when you deliver that opening line. That's going to be very important for me, that you have your eyes on your audience when you start your speech. I fundamentally believe that that is an essential part of connecting with who you're speaking to. So make sure your eyes are up, make sure you know what your opening line is, and part of that is writing it down here on your outline. The next thing I want you to notice is how short this outline is. There are seriously 6 little bullets here. It is not a paragraph form. This is not a transcript. There are 6 bullets that are identified here as things that will help me as a speaker get through this speech. This is your story. This is a story that you probably should have shared with other people before. So it's not like I'm asking you to make something up. This is an experience that you've probably lived through, or maybe a friend or family member has lived through, and it's an interesting story that you want to share. But the point being is, it has a chronological order. The key here is to understand what are some key things that are going to help me get through that order. And so you can see that I've kept these bullets very minimal. It also encourages me, by keeping things minimal, not to be reading my outline. This is not a reading class. This is an opportunity for you to make sure that you are referencing a piece of information, but that you're focusing on the audience and relaying the information that you want to share with all of us in the audience. After noticing kind of the simplicity of the outline, the next thing I want you to notice is this oral citation right here. This oral citation is it's an oral citation, but the key here is it's different than a written citation. So when we talk about written citations, which you can see down here as part of the reference page at the bottom of the page here, this is what we typically talk about when we say APA or MLA style. Your oral citation is where you orally incorporate information from this place into your speech. It not only builds your credibility as a speaker to show that you've researched your topic, it shows that you're competent in accessing other people's materials. It shows that you have the ability to find corroborating voices and evidence to what you want to say. It shows some objectivity in that you're well-rounded in putting together a presentation. So there's a lot of different reasons why we include oral source citations, but it's the only other written out sentence that I want to see on your outline. You can see that this has a couple different components to it. It has the first half right here where there is a specific identification of where we got the information and when you accessed it. And then it is the second half here, the actual information that I'm using. I will talk about this in a different video, and I gave you a handout on this in class, but I do want to point out that the oral citation here is different than the written citation, which I'm expecting at the conclusion of your outline. This written citation should be in APA or MLA format. I don't care which one you use. Everybody has a preference. But a written citation gives me the specific information that will allow me to now find the specific source. And in this case, it has the date and the name of the web organization, but it also has the web URL. Please do not just copy the URL. I'm going to say that again. Please do not copy just your URL. When you are doing source citations, realize oral citations up here are different than written citations down here. Your oral citation should be written out in the correct format in your speech. Your written citation down here, your formal APA or MLA citation, needs to be in the correct format. Now, I don't care if you use some of those web page places to help organize your bibliography or your references. That's fine. Places like Noodlebib, or I can't think of other ones off the top of my head, but those are fine, but just make sure that it's formatted and that it's nice. So at the end of the day, this is what your outline looks like, minus all this color. But just make sure that you are keeping it simple, you're keeping it short, and you will turn these outlines in on the day of your presentation. So for speech number 1, it will be in class. The day you are speaking is when you will turn these in. All right? So if you have questions or concerns on the outlines, please ask.